Scams are on the rise, and joining me now from the Cornwall Police Service are Constable Dan Cloutier and Sergeant Mark Anderson. Welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you, Gabe. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. All right, so there's some old scams that are still going on, but there's some new ones as well. So maybe first we can talk about some of the new things that scammers are preying with people on.
Well, definitely this time of year, it's always the CRA, especially with the extended season that the government has given us. And there's new scams that have come to light. One in particular that comes to mind is banking agencies. So your CRA account, most people don't know this, you have an account with the CRA. So log in and make sure that your banking information has not been changed. Recently what they've been doing is going into your account because they have your personal information, changing that information, banking information, to a non-line account, then applying for CERB. Well, that becomes problematic because they're going to get the CERB under your name, then they go into this online banking system and cash that in. You know, you're not out of money. You are out of money because come tax time next year, you're the one that's going to be defrauded. You are a victim in this case.
All right, and a couple months ago we heard about one case of people asking for gift cards to maybe make up for debt or due payments or things like that. And it's important to remember that government agencies, banking agencies will never ever ask for gift cards as payment.
I think maybe Mark's better to answer on this one.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing an increase with respect to the individual on the other end of the phone. In order to settle your account, they will ask you to attend a local store and purchase iTunes cards, Google Play cards, any type of gift type card. The government would never do that. We're also seeing instances where people are asking you to attend a different location and deposit money into a Bitcoin machine. Again, the government does not ask people to settle accounts by doing these type of deposits. And they're also very difficult from an investigative standpoint for us to investigate because the person receiving the funds on the other end could be anywhere in the world, and it becomes problematic for our investigators to follow up.
Just to add to those, problematic as far as investigation, but there's a lot of money leaving Cornwall to would-be fraud in that area of gift cards. It's terrible and it's heart-wrenching.
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, Mark, and maybe you could allude a little bit more to that, you are in charge of the investigations at the Cornwall Police, so maybe talk a little bit about what happens when somebody has been scammed or thinks they've been scammed and they reach out to Cornwall Police.
Yeah, so definitely they would reach out to Cornwall Police and they would interact with one of our frontline officers immediately, who would take the general investigative notes with respect to, you know, how much money, what type of cards you were asked to purchase. In some cases, we're able to track down where the cards are spent. In some cases, if it's a local purchase, we're able to get into the area if the information is timely enough. Then perhaps there's someone waiting in a parking lot or things like that. But it's a rare occurrence that the investigation plays out in a way where we can immediately kind of capture the culprit. Most often it's investigative work behind the scenes with respect to IP addresses and tracking the money electronically, where we have some success. But they are definitely time-consuming and difficult investigations.
It's one of these things, I think, Mark, that we really want to get the message across to the citizens of Cornwall, but not to make them panicked also. Cornwall's a super safe city. I was born and raised here. I love the city. But it's problematic throughout all of Canada and US. You just got to be vigilant and look at the red flags. If you're not sure, you can call me, 613-933-5000, extension 2725. Slow things down.
Yeah, it's a good point. This is, oftentimes people aren't out lots and lots of money. In fact, many times people aren't out any money at all. But it's a frustration of having to deal with the banks, deal with the Canada Revenue Agency, and just settle your accounts back down. You know, there's Equifax and different agencies like that safeguard, you know, where you can find information about what credit cards you've applied for, what loans you've applied for, and things like that. It just becomes a time-consuming, frustrating process for people to try and get their accounts back to a position where they feel they're not at risk anymore.
But I want to remind everyone that you should call police, or at least the Government of Canada anti-fraud department to report these. I know it sometimes feels embarrassing that you were taken, but it's important for us to know, or the government. It's the only way we're going to be able to go after these fraudsters.
Absolutely, and I think that's maybe the most important point, other than slow things down and look for red flags, is the fact that the Cornwall Police is always there to offer guidance. And maybe we can finish, Dan, just talk a little bit again just about where people should be vigilant, because these types of scams can come from all different directions, whether it be text message, email, phone. It's not like back in the day where it was limited avenues. There's many ways that scammers can have access to vulnerable people.
Yeah, I would start with the CRA. Everybody has an account. Log into the government website. It might take a little longer if you've never logged in, but you're going to be able to see your account. I've done it just last week. I was concerned. I wanted to make sure I wasn't a victim of fraud, so I went on, I got through, logged in, and right there it said nothing's changed as far as my account. So you get a little bit of satisfaction for sure, knowing that, whew, I'm not a victim. The other part is, I'm going to go back with what Mark said about gift cards. The government will never ask for gift cards. Slow things down. Whenever somebody tells you it's urgent, don't tell anybody, there's two big red flags that tells you I better talk to somebody and I better slow things down.
Absolutely. Anytime someone is trying to get information from you from a source that you may, and sometimes they're good at cloning, like on emails, things like that, but anytime that someone's asking for information and you don't quite recognize the number, it's always good to hang up and call back through an avenue that you do know and you do trust.
Yeah. Did we touch base, Mark, on the neighbor spoofing?
No, we haven't, and that's a really good point. We have seen instances recently where the culprits will actually spoof the Cornwall Police phone number and purport themselves as being associated or affiliated to in some way with the Cornwall Police, and that's just not the case. We're not a collection agency. We don't petition to get money from people on behalf of anybody, including the government. It's just not our.
So just to clarify a little bit on neighbor spoofing, and that's the trending thing right now, is that you're going to get a call and your cell phone's going to display what you believe is a local number. It's not a local number. They spoofed it through the internet. So be vigilant with that. Don't return the call. You don't know the person. Don't answer it.
On that note, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully as you alluded to, Dan, our viewers will be cognizant and aware and slow things down, but not panic, but just be a little bit more aware that these scams are out there, and just be careful when dealing with anything like such as this.
Thanks, Gabe.
Thank you.